Morning, Zach and David. Welcome along to this week's media conference. We'll start with you, David. Change of clubs this year. Had a couple of years out at Claremont playing and then coaching, and made the move down to the Dodgers. What was the background behind the move?
Well, I actually live down there, Tone. So yeah, I live down about 5 minutes from the footy, and my wife's pregnant now, so that was just a good fit for me to move closer to home, and yeah, taking a step back from coaching and just helping down there with Dodgers and being assistant under Brent Donovan down there.
Yep. So Dodgers had a slow start to the season. Probably lost a couple of games early in the piece by narrow margins.
Yep.
Obviously, a bit of a turnaround last week for you to defeat Huonville Lions down there at Huonville. Great for the competition because it's evened it up a little bit, but for a lot of punters that would have been a surprise. What was the big turnaround last week?
Just on our season whole, so we lost to Hobart round one. They got us by a kick, and we've been competitive most of the year. Apart from the Claremont game, they absolutely showed us how to play a good brand of footy. So we've been building in the last two games against Sorell and Huonville. We've played 4 quarters of footy, and we've put a really good brand together. And it's on the back of our young kids. They've really, like our coach Dolly's put a lot of faith in these young kids and given them really tough opposition, and they're playing on the best, and they've stood up. And that's been the most exciting part for us. Is it's the young kids that are playing well, and not just the older guys.
So we're off into the second half of the season now this week. So you're travelling to the TCA up against Hobart, who you lost to narrowly at home that first round. How can you change the result this time round?
Yeah, well, no, we learned a lot from Hobart. They're really fit, and they actually run us and spread us really well. So we've learnt a lot about our stoppages and our balance around stoppage. We've got pretty well our full strength side in this week. So Jack Siggins comes back, and he's great for just to get our spine back. So he's back. He'll take Sam Reeves. It's a really the TCA big. It's a new surface. We've heard a lot about it, and so we're excited to get up there and to get some redemption on the round one loss against Hobart.
Yep. Those younger players that you've spoken about, who are some of those younger players?
Well, in the back line, Zachy Minty and Jordan McDermott, they've been fantastic. In the forward line, we've got a few actually. So Jack Wilson's been kicking a lot of goals. Young Lincoln Ross has been fantastic at the tall's feet. Then you got that's probably the main 4 that have really done well. And Benny McDermott, it's another one that's Benny McDermott, Benny Richmond. Sorry, he's another young fella that's going really well.
Yep. And that's good to hear. We spoke about it last week's conference, how a lot of the clubs do have a number of young players that have been impressing this season.
Yeah, we've definitely had a focus on youth, and I'm the only bloke over 30 playing at the minute, and that's a good sign for Dodgers. And so there's a lot of faith in the young kids. And and Tyler Sutton's the other young kid that's really, probably in the last month of footy, has been fantastic. Is another young kid that's come out of their Colts program who's really playing great football.
Yep. I noticed Simon Kennedy returned a couple of weeks ago, had a try at Lauderdale.
Yes, so Simo went and did the whole pre-season at Lauderdale, and his partner had a baby not long ago, and so he's a new father, and it was just getting a bit too much for him, all the travel and all the training, and so he's come back and he's been fantastic. You can just see training at the elite level, how much he's come back, and he's really helped us with how he's played and how he's taken the game on.
Thanks, David. Zach, welcome along today. So Hobart slipped out of the top half of the ladder at present, but only out on percentage. You've played in some very tight contests this year, of which you've won some of those. But obviously in a couple of other games, Lindisfarne, Claremont have not performed as well over the 4 quarters. How can Hobart turn that around this week and win at home?
Well, yeah, obviously we haven't got a win at home. We're looking at trying to just stay competitive for the whole 4 quarters. We've only played probably the past couple of games against Huonville and obviously Lindisfarne last week. We've played probably 1 or 2 quarters. We're just looking to play the whole 4 quarters out this game, especially at home against Dodgers. Like, we're pretty confident going in this week after beating them round 1, only by a kick, but we're still improving each week. We got to learn. Becky's been running us through the drills that we're learning on, and we're pretty confident going in this week, just making sure we spread and push back hard and defensive stuff.
You've probably had a bit of a horror run with injuries to some of your better performing players.
Yeah.
How's that looking? Are they back on the park yet?
Tim Robertson, he did his groin against Sorrell, so he missed out in the past 2 weeks, which could have been pretty handy for us. But he's back this week. And same with Mark Young, he's been out with an ankle injury for the past probably month now, and he'll slot back in the back line now. And I'm pretty sure that's the people to come back, and we've actually switched up a couple of position changes for this week just to try something different, and hopefully it works for us this week.
Yep, I noticed Liam come back last week after missing a few weeks.
Yeah, and Liam came back last week as well.
How did he pull up after?
Yeah, he wasn't too bad. He recovered pretty well. Recovered this week. He trained Wednesday night pretty fully hard, and took Monday night pretty easy. But yeah, he'll be back this week as well. He's looking fit. He's looking like he was pretty fit since round 1. So.
Yep. So who's the key players at Dodgers that you obviously need to be wary of this week?
Obviously Siggins coming back. We're going to play probably either Blake Lockley or someone tall on him. Same with Dunn as well. We're just trying to get our matchups right this week and actually try something different. Either we play Cal Woodward, someone tall down there, or try Cal Newman running off half back. We're just trying to get those matchups right. Same within the midfield. We did that pretty well round 1, and we're going to try and do that again this week and try and keep it pretty even.
And how personally have you found the competition this year compared to last year?
It's been pretty even really. Obviously Dodgers, us and obviously Signet sitting on the same amount of wins. Obviously us, we're down by percentage, but it's been pretty even. Unfortunately the past couple of weeks hasn't gone our way, but against Signet we only lost by a point. Sorrell, where we won by probably 2 kicks that game, and we're just trying to stay competitive the whole time, and the competition's wrapping up to be pretty even.
Yep. And you've had some good young players at your club as well. Come through from the Colts last year.
So we've had Will Muscat. He played a few games at the start of the season. Unfortunately, he's had an injury that probably can't come back to this year. We've had Mark Cripps. He's been doubling up actually from the Colts due to Colts having low numbers, but he's been playing pretty well in the senior level for a small bloke running off the wing in the midfield. And Zaynord, he's had 1 or 2 senior games. That's looking pretty confident. He'll come back sometime this year or next year. He's looking very good.
And just one back to Dave. You've been selected in the initial training squad for the SFL again this year. How do you see that squad shaping up for?
I was surprised by that. I haven't obviously been injured this year, but a bit of experience maybe got me in the squad. Being at North Hobart, I think that's fantastic to have footy at that ground, and if that doesn't get people excited to play, and I'd be surprised what else wouldn't. So they're a good squad, and I just encourage everyone to take it seriously, and if we can get our best 22 on the park, I think we'll give SFL a good representation compared to last year.
Thanks, guys. Good morning, Jock and Matty. Welcome along to this week's media conference. Good to have you in, Jock. First time we've had somebody from Sorell this year. How's Sorell's performances been travelling this year compared to last year?
Yeah, look, obviously last year was a bit of a back to the bottom for us last year in a big way, and I think we've improved dramatically from last year. Whilst we've only won one game to this point, the fact is that we've been really competitive in all of our games, probably bar the Lindisfarne game, where we just got off to a bit of a poor start. But in every other game, we've either been right in it to half time or thereabouts, and certainly against say Claremont we were 4 or 5 goals up at some point. Against Huonville we were really competitive down there, so I think we've certainly shown that we've improved dramatically, but we're just battling with sides just getting away from us maybe one quarter a game. So until we get that consistency of playing 4-quarter footy, we're not quite getting there yet, but we're sort of hoping for a really good second half of the season and hopefully come home with a few more wins.
Yep, that would be good. Obviously quite a number of young players in the team. How have those young players been adapting to and improving?
Yeah, look, and that's the big thing, and I was just talking to Matty about it outside, that the one thing that we did last year was made sure we had an underage side. It was really important to us, and we've done that again this year. It's a really big battle, as I know with most clubs it is at the moment, but it's something that's really important to us. And we've probably got 5 or 6 kids from last year's underage side playing seniors this year. And look, it's a development process. It takes a while for them. They have good games and they have poor games. They have good moments and poor moments and all that. And that's what we've got to work with. The more games, if we can get 20 games into these kids by round 4 or 5 next year, they're going to become really good footballers for us. And already some of them are showing some great signs.
Yep. One player that drew my attention last year was Alex Bresnahan, who won the S2JFL Under-18 Berkeley medal. How's he been going? Yeah,
look, he's fantastic, mate. For a kid that's played under-18 footy and then come down and play seniors off the bat, he's been sensational for us. But same as everything, mate. He's a young kid. He has his ups and downs. He's still learning his game, and it's a different whether levels or whatever. Playing under-18 football at TSL State League level to come or STJFL level to come and play senior footy is a big jump. But he's adapted really well. And look, the thing with Alex is that he was in a position where he wasn't going to play football at all. And we got word of that. We'd already spoken to him previously, so we just felt like it was important for him to be able to play football. So we've been able to accommodate that. And look, for us, it's a massive win. I mean, we've got a quality player. He's a quality kid. So, and look, whether we have him for this year and that's it, or like I know he's got uni issues and that, and we might keep him for a couple of years. But he's a fantastic kid.
It's a win for football when we can
he's got to play,
players playing.
Yeah, no,
football.
look, and that was the most important thing for us when we spoke to him. Was we needed to find a way for him to be able to play football. We've had a really good conversation with Clarence about it. I mean, they're all on board with it. They're in the same boat. They want the kid playing footy. He was in a position where he couldn't play at all, and we've been able to accommodate him through that, just by working out training and stuff. And it's not an ideal situation, but it's one where he still comes out and plays on Saturday. And look, he's fully committed and does a great job for us.
One of the things I noticed during the off-season was a number of players back into the Sorell club, but part of that was obviously quite a number of young lads that had left the area from junior days and headed off to Clarence, Lauderdale, etc., now returning. That must be a good vibe for the club.
Yeah, look, it's always important, and we want them to go and try that. If there's an opportunity to play TSL football, that's what they should be doing. So we'll always encourage that. But certainly if that doesn't work out for them, we want them to come back to us. And certainly we make sure that we foster that and work with that and try to get them back if they don't want to play at that level or if they don't quite make it. We've been very fortunate this year that we did get quite a few that have been in the system and decided that wasn't for them, have come back to us, as well as older players that either didn't play last year or went to other clubs, have come back to us, and that's setting us up for a really good launch from here to be able to keep adding to that and hopefully become a far more competitive side.
Yep. You've been around football obviously a few years now and in and out of the SFL system during that period of time. How are you seeing the competition this year?
Oh, look, I think it's as close as it's ever been. Matt's obviously been in it for a fair while and we've both been at TSL and back and forth a bit, but I don't recall a season where there wasn't probably 2 or 3 really dominant sides and the rest were just making the numbers. I think this year there's anywhere down to, we're probably, us and Brighton are probably just off the pace a little bit, but the rest of the sides, any one of those other sides there could make the finals, and we're in a position where if we'd even just won a game against Hobart that maybe we could have and should have, and even Dodgers, if we'd been able to somehow manufacture a win there, we'd actually be sitting in a position where now we could be tapping on the door of the 5. So even we've been in a position where we could have made the 5, which years gone past, you've probably got 3 or 4 sides that just dominate, and then the rest are just sort of there to make up the numbers. But with Huonville's improvement this year, Claremont, Lindisfarne have certainly still the top 2 probably, but have certainly not a massive gap between them. And New Norfolk have come back to the pack obviously, and Cygnet are still competitive. So it's great for the comp because it does mean that most games are viable and alive. Like there's no guarantee that any side's going to win. And even 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, Brighton probably really give you Norfolk a really good run, and in better circumstances might have been able to win. So you wouldn't have seen that 2 or 3 years ago, even last year. So I think the competition definitely has improved this year. Yep. It's a lot more even.
So obviously you have Brighton this week, and that's been your sole victory for the year.
Yep.
To this point in time. Obviously they're going to come hard at you this week because they'll see that as their chance to perhaps grab a victory. How are you going to combat that?
Oh, look, I guess what we've done is we've spoken about it a lot. We believe Brighton are in the boat that we were in last year. So we had to target a game last year that we felt that we could win, and that was certainly the game against Brighton, which, fortunately for us, we got over and did win. But I think, look, we know that they're going to come hard at us, and we know that they believe, ladder suggests that if there's a side that they can compete with, for the whole game, it's going to be us. But we also know that we've probably undersold ourselves a bit so far this year, and that we're a better side than the margin and the points and the ladder shows at this stage. So we think we're confident in our processes, that we've just got to play our best footy, and we've got to accept the fact that it's going to be tough and hard early, and that we've got to absorb that and hopefully give as good as we get, and then hopefully come out on top. But look, we know every game we play we're up against it, but we've just got to keep approaching it the same way. And this week's no different to any other game. We've approached it the same way. We've trained the same way. We've got processes in place as we always do against each side. We've got certain tweaks that we make for every side we play against, and Brighton's no different.
And the boys will obviously be a bit fresher this week, coming off the bye last week.
Yeah, look, it's a funny one. The last round bye, which I don't think I've ever coached a side where we are the last round bye. We would have loved the bye 2 or 3 weeks earlier, but at the end of the round, I guess it's not so bad for us this time round. Certainly it would be a drama if we do end up making finals, because it means we'll have a week off before finals as well, which will be an interesting scenario. But yeah, look, it certainly is. We've freshened up. We've trained really hard. We didn't have any nights off. We felt that after the Dodgers Ferry game that we still needed to work on a few things. So we've had 4 sessions as we would normally, and we've trained pretty hard and we've done a lot of work. So hopefully we've lightened up this week, but hopefully we'll be fresh and ready to go Saturday.
That's good. Matty, welcome back again. Fortnight ago when you was last in here, we were previewing your match with up against New Norfolk, your old team, and Brighton put up a very good showing in that game.
Yes, we did, mate. We was in the game right until probably the last 15 minutes of that game. But yeah, just let them off the ladder, and they sort of got away with us.
So, approaching this week's game against Sorell, off the back of that first half of the season, where obviously from sitting back as watching results, you have improved dramatically from round 1 to round 9. How are you going to put that into play in the second half of the season?
Yeah, well, we've got a very young football team at the minute, and there's always going to be that inconsistency. Sorrell got us in round 1. Obviously, they showed us a clean pair of heels. But as Jock was saying, they've been in all their games this year, apart from one, and that was against Lindisfarne. So we're up against it tomorrow. We know that. We know where we're at as a footy team. But it's all about us continuing to improve on the things that we've been doing at training. We've got a vision of where we want to be, not just this year, but in 2 to 3 years' time. So the things that we learnt from them in round one was that they do chip the footy around. They do like to play the corridor. And they also like some deep inside 50 entries. So they're things that we've spoken about this week. But in saying that, we aren't going to go away from how we want to set up and how we set up our defence as well. So hopefully we can go down there and put a really good game of, play a really good game of footy, play a good brand, and come away with 4 points.
Good. And obviously you had ladder leaders Claremont last week, and scoreboard was probably a bit greater than what you would hope for, but did you take anything out of the game for the group?
No, not at all. Threw it straight in the bin after the game, mate. Obviously we debriefed the game a little bit, but it was an extremely disappointing afternoon for us as a footy team. But it's just, that's just the inconsistency that we're expecting from our group. We didn't go too much on about it. Yeah, threw it straight out and yeah, just focused wholly and solely on this weekend's game.
That's good. Rep game coming up in July against the NTFA. You're one of the co-coaches. Obviously the squad's been announced and training starts next Monday, 6 p.m. at Abbotsfield Park for those players that have been selected. Is there availability for players to be added if their forms warrants?
Yeah, definitely. Daniel and I have spoken regularly about it, and we both feel that it's very important that we have got players that are in form in the squad. So obviously tomorrow we'll be having, I'll get to see young Bresnahan firsthand, so we can have a look at him, and he's probably one that we can throw in. So yeah, I think it's very important. The players that I've spoken to, obviously I've still got a good relationship with the boys from Norfolk. Spoken to a couple from down the Huon area, and they're all right behind it. Spoke to a few Claremont boys last week, and they're pretty excited about it as well. So I think this year will be the year that we're able to put our best team forward. So hopefully, that does happen, and we can go out and have a good game of footy on that long weekend, or that weekend.
Well, good. Thanks, guys.
Beautiful, Gary.